Hey guys, welcome to What's in My Plant Box. For today's video, I'm going to be repotting some plants that I purchased and will also be sharing some succulent trivia to you guys. Let's get started. In nature, succulents thrive in gritty, loose soil, so do your best to replicate those conditions. I personally use humus mixed with garden soil, or you can just buy ready mixed cactus soil in garden centers. Humus gives more aeration and facilitates drainage, which are essential in keeping your plants alive. You can also plant them in pure humus, but I find that mixing it with organic media makes the roots grow healthier. This is a Sempervivum tictorum, also known as hennichicks and house leeks. Sempervivum literally means forever alive in Latin, and rightly so, because these plants are very hardy and can tolerate both heat and frost. Water it sparingly. I actually killed one because of overwatering. And speaking of watering, when watering succulents, adjust according to the weather and your plant's needs rather than sticking to a fixed schedule. It's always better to err in the side of underwatering than overwatering because overwatering almost always kills your plants. Echeveria ice green is a Korean hybrid that has chubby, light green leaves that turn pink during the colder months. It's a succulent that was hybridized from Echeveria elegans, so you may have noticed that these plants have dropped leaves, which is okay, it's perfectly fine, and this is because they are transitioning from a highland climate to a hotter, more humid lowland climate. So what I do is to gradually expose them to the climate by first keeping them under a bright shaded area and moving them into the sunlight over the course of about 1 to 2 weeks, during which I also refrain from watering. So if you have succulents shipped from somewhere else and when they arrive to you and they're dropping leaves, don't be worried, that's all part of the transition process. Graptoveria silver star. From the name itself, you can tell that it's a hybrid of a Graptopetalum and Echeveria. This one in particular is a hybrid of, I think, Graptopetalum filiferum and Echeveria agavoides multifida. Anyway, what I like about this plant is that it looks super glittery under the sun and the wispy tips can get really red under stress. I like potting my succulents flush to the soil, but I make sure to leave a space between the rim of the pot and the soil or pumice, so when I water, the pumice doesn't spill out of the pot. Some people top dress their pots with marble chips or lava rocks, colorful stones, but I don't think it's necessary, and like I've mentioned before, they have a tendency to spill over when you water them. But yeah, again, if it's your preference, then by all means do it. My next plant is a type of Grinovia. I'm not sure which, but since Grinovia are extremely rare here in the Philippines, when I saw it online, I was like, shut up and take my money. Anyway, Grinovia are related to Aeoniums, but unlike Aeoniums, Grinovia don't get massive. They don't get tall. They stay small because the native habitat for Grenovias are mountains. That the altitudes are higher and the wind is harsher. So they need to stay low and just sort of spread out on the ground. These plants are absolutely lovely. They're called mountain roses because obviously they look like roses. In the summer, they go dormant, and when they go dormant, they sort of like close up like tiny, tiny rosebuds. And when they do this, cut back on the watering because they don't need it. This next plant is an Echeveria bluebird. Again, this is a Korean hybrid derived from Echeveria peacockii. Speaking of Korean hybrids, when I started collecting succulents last year, I also started browsing for Korean succulents online. And they are so freaking colorful. And why are they so colorful? The answer is selective breeding. Nurseries select plants with the most desirable traits, which is, in this case, color, and propagate this for future generations. Another question I commonly hear is like, will my Korean succulent stay the same color forever? Yes and no. If you can perfectly replicate the conditions in a nursery, or if you live in a climate similar to Korea, then yes, they would most likely stay the same. In my case, they don't because I live in a tropical country and my environment is extremely different from that of Korea's. I actually have an orange Monroe that when it first came here, it was pretty. It was orange. But now that it's been with me for some months, it's just blue green and it just keeps growing and growing and growing, but there's absolutely no hint of orange. Echeveria subcorymbosa Lau is another rare hybrid that was originally discovered in Mexico. In the wild, it's usually pale greenish blue and it spreads in the ground in clumps, but in cultivation, it tends to be almost like a greenish pastel pink with bright red edges. And actually, this one has a pop, and I'm always happy to see my plants getting baby. Kalanchoe humilis is also known as tiger kalanchoe. This particular one was actually given to me for free. Thank you so much, Fate CNS Hub. If you guys haven't already, please check out her page. I'll be leaving the link in the description. Anyway, this plant got its name because of the distinct burgundy stripes it has, and these stripes get more emphasized the more the plant is exposed to sunlight. These are Aurostachys boehmeri or Chinese dance caps. You might see that I have them in a jar of water. This is because when I received my package, they were very, very dehydrated. I decided to do water therapy, which means soaking their roots in water for like a day or so. This is a quick fix for dehydrated plants, but I don't recommend doing this frequently because if you do it on potted plants, this involves digging out the roots and soaking them. And this could potentially damage the roots and can do more harm than good. So I suggest that you do water therapy only if your plant is severely dehydrated or maybe if it did not respond to deep watering. This next plant is called the Senecio peregrinus, or the string of dolphins. So I've been seeing this posted a lot online and it's getting really popular. I can see why, because if you look closely, the leaves do look like dolphins. And this plant is actually, I think, a hybrid of string of pearls and I think string of bananas. And I've been growing string of pearls for a few months, and I'm telling you, they are extremely finicky. They don't like drafty places or places where the temperature changes constantly. So I'm guessing growing these dolphins would more or less be the same. Also, propagation is just same as most Senecio species. You just take a piece and just stick it into the soil, and it will grow on its own. You just need to supplement it with water or plant food. But yeah, more or less, it's the same plant, just with different leaves. This next plant is an Echeveria Onslow. This is another Korean hybrid that I purchased like some months ago, just last year. I'm just repotting him because I I transferred him to a bigger arrangement and I don't think he was happy there. So I'm just putting him back in his own pot and placing him back under the rose bushes where he used to be, and I hope he'll be happy there and stop dropping leaves. Might recognize some of these as the plants from my previous plant haul video. They've already recovered and have established in my environment, so I'm just moving them to their own pots. And that's it for the second entry of my vlog. I hope you guys learned something. And once again, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you so much. I'll see you next time.